Have you ever noticed how some people can recall what you were wearing 3 months ago, the exact words you used in a passing conversation, or that one offhand comment you made about your childhood pet? Meanwhile, others can barely remember what you told them yesterday. It's fascinating. Some people absorb every detail about you like their brain is a high-definition recording device. They remember your coffee order, the story about your grandmother, even the specific way you pronounce certain words. But here's the question. What does it actually mean when someone remembers everything about you? Is it love, attention, or is there something deeper happening in their psychology? Stick with me until the end, because what you'll discover might even explain why certain relationships feel so different from others, and why some connections leave lasting imprints while others fade like morning fog. For some, the story is simple but profound. They remember because you matter. Imagine this. Someone is telling you about their weekend, and they mention they're nervous about a presentation on Thursday. Most people hear it and forget, but someone who's emotionally invested, they text you Thursday morning, "Good luck today." They remember because in their world, you're not background noise, you're signal. This connects to what psychologists call motivated attention. When something or someone holds emotional significance, our brain automatically allocates more cognitive resources to encoding those memories. It's not conscious, it's not effortful, it's automatic. These people aren't trying to remember, they just do. Because when you care deeply about someone, your brain treats information about them differently. It gets tagged as important, filed under matters to me, stored in a place where it won't fade easily. And here's what that reveals. For them, remembering isn't a skill. It's a side effect of how much space you occupy in their mental and emotional world. Every tiny detail you share becomes part of the narrative they're building about who you are. Then there's another group, and their psychology is completely different. These are the people whose brains are wired for what researchers call high perceptual sensitivity. They don't just remember details about you, they remember details about everything. The brand of pen someone used, the background music in a restaurant, the exact phrasing in an email from 2 years ago. For them, it's not about emotional investment, it's about how their cognitive system processes information. Some brains are built to notice patterns, store specifics, and retrieve details with unusual precision. Psychologists studying memory have found that certain individuals have what's called highly superior autobiographical memory, or HSAM. While rare in its extreme form, many people exist on a spectrum of detail-oriented memory. But here's where it gets interesting. These people often feel overwhelmed by their own minds. They can't choose what to remember. Everything gets stored. Your coffee order sits right next to a billboard they saw in 2019. It's all cataloged together. This isn't about caring more or paying special attention to you. It's about a cognitive architecture that doesn't filter information the way most brains do. They live in a world of permanent, high-resolution recall. And sometimes that's exhausting. And finally, there's a third group, and this might be the most psychologically sophisticated of all. These are people who remember details as an expression of what psychologists call emotional intelligence and relational attunement. They've learned through experience or intention that relationships deepen when people feel truly seen. Not just acknowledged, seen. Studies in psychology show that one of the most powerful predictors of relationship satisfaction is feeling understood by the other person. And how do you make someone feel understood? You remember what matters to them. You reference their story. You follow up on the things they care about. This group uses memory strategically, but not manipulatively. They've realized that the small act of remembering creates enormous emotional impact. When you bring up something someone mentioned weeks ago, you're communicating, "I was listening." You're worth remembering. What you said stayed with me. This connects to attachment theory and the concept of secure base relationships. People who feel seen and remembered feel safer in the relationship. They open up more. They trust deeper. And the person doing the remembering, they're often building the kind of connection they themselves crave. It's not just memory. It's relationship building through intentional presence. And that's a form of intelligence that doesn't always get recognized. And here's the most interesting part. People who remember tiny details about you often approach their entire lives this way. They're the ones who remember not just your birthday, but your half-birthday joke you made once. They recall not just that you had a difficult childhood, but the specific detail about your third-grade teacher who changed everything. They notice when you change your routine, your tone, your energy. This extends far beyond memory. It reveals something about how they move through the world, with attention, with care, with a belief that details matter because people matter, that the texture of life isn't found in the broad strokes, but in the tiny, specific moments that make you who you are. Does that mean they never forget things? Of course not. They're human. They miss stuff. They have bad days. Their memory isn't perfect, and sometimes they're so overwhelmed with details that big pictures get blurry. But when they remember you, specifically and completely, they're showing you who they are. Someone who believes that paying attention is a form of love, that remembering is a form of respect, that the small things aren't small at all. So whether you're someone who remembers everything about the people you love, or someone who struggles to recall basic details, even about people who matter deeply to you, here's what matters. For some, it's about emotional investment. You remember because they occupy real estate in your heart. For others, it's about cognitive wiring. Your brain simply works this way, cataloging everything with equal intensity. And for many, it's about intentional connection. You've learned that remembering is how you build the relationships you want to live inside. The real question is, which one are you? And maybe more importantly, when someone remembers those tiny details about you, do you recognize it as the gift it actually is? Not just good memory, but evidence that in someone's interior world, you're unforgettable. If this made you think differently about memory, attention, and what it really means when someone remembers you, you'll love the other psychology topics we cover here. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next video where we dive deep into the kind of psychology that actually explains you. Not textbook theory, not surface-level observations, the real stuff that makes you pause and think, wait, that's exactly how I work.